Welcome back to the Frightflix channel and our weekly review of the X-Files revival. Today we're talking about episode 5 out of 6. It's called Babylon. I personally have been thinking about the episode a lot, and I'm thinking of it as the funny little straw that broke the camel's back.
Ooh.
You know, we're 5 out of 6, so we got one left. And on the way over here, I was thinking, well, I can get into this now or later, but could they do anything in episode 6 out of 6 to make me say, wow, this was a success?
Well, apparently they're not going to do anything X-Files-ish.
Right.
Seems to be the theme, is that they don't give a fuck about the original series. Because this is its own.
The episode that felt most like X-Files was last week's episode, Home Again, which was my least favorite episode of this season, but at least it felt like an X-Files with the trash man.
That's a funny point. Is it good that it's not like the original series? I mean, is this evolution what we needed?
Yeah. Well, for the one episode it was, you know, the funny episode, the worm monster, but it almost felt like, okay, it's fine that they did a funny episode. I loved it. I thought it was great. But now, 2 episodes later, out of 6, they're doing another, what I consider to be a funny episode.
Well, do you not value the lives of Middle Eastern people?
Well, and that's the major problem with it, was it didn't commit either way. There was this real heavy 24 vibe with the suicide bombings.
Yeah, it was obvious.
But then, like most of the show was, how could I not look at it as comedy with the new agents, like the young Mulder and Scully they only worked for me, and it worked for me. I thought it was funny, but it was like a funny joke. Were they to renew this for another season and bring those 2 agents back as full-time characters? I couldn't take that seriously.
Well, again, I talked about how this whole season or miniseries seems to be Chris Carter shopping the show for a season. And I think the Doppelgangers is just a good bet. If either Anderson or Duchovny or both don't want to sign on, they got interchangeable parts. That's why I think they partnered up the 2 separately, so you could see the dynamic. And I thought Lauren Ambrose was amazing. It made me think of the old Scully. Before she got more open-minded, she was very kind of a cunt, and that's how Lauren Ambrose came across, but in a good way, and in a funny, check the other guy type manner, and I like that a lot.
I liked both the agents. The other kid is
Arrow's cousin.
Yeah. Well, the brother of the guy that beats up Stardust and is occasionally Arrow. He's been Firestorm on Flash for the last 2 seasons. So
I think it's his cousin, not his brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They look damn similar. But, you know, like I said, I liked them, but I liked them in a funny, isn't this cute, isn't this clever sort of way. Not like oh, wow, I can't get enough of these characters. They were, they were good, but once again, I guess just surprised and disappointed that they went the funny route so soon after doing it. That's just not what I expected. And then combined with like the real horrific opening scene and the suicide bombing, the people running around on fire.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
It was very intense. It didn't really, that whole plot didn't feel X-Files at all.
No. It almost felt like something Kurt Sutter would do. It was pretty bold to do a Middle Eastern terrorist angle.
And I kept waiting for the other shoe to
Sure,
drop.
there had to have been a twist. It's X-Files. Like, did aliens set them up? Were they mind-controlled? Was this Manchurian Candidate shit? But it was just straight up, which is ballsy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I say the whole episode. I thought about it. I didn't like it. I liked it. I think I'm Donnie Darkoing it by reading too much into things. I think it might be brilliant or stupid. I don't know. This episode's fucking confusing.
Yeah. Agreed. There were things about it I liked so much, but then I honestly, I don't know if I loved or I hated tripping ass Mulder line dancing to Achy Breaky Heart, like, I laughed. It got a legit laugh out of me.
Yeah, for sure. It was funny.
But then, like, when I thought about it, I kind of hated it. And then now I'm vacillating between the two.
And I know there's been a sequence similar he's done before. And some people are complaining about that. We actually have somebody on Twitter responded to me by the Twitter handle grunging like 19 something. I don't know. He's an asshole. But he said that they did a similar thing in Ash vs. Evil Dead this season where he tripped on ayahuasca and had a similar thing. So that's something that people didn't really care for either.
Huh. Interesting.
But I personally loved it. I thought the music was great. The music, again, people have complained. My buddy Brian, who's got that horrible Twitter handle, needs to change it. He made a point that the music was awful. The Lumineers at the end, which was like thought raping us into an obvious.
I will go with. I like the Achy Breaky Heart. I hated the Hey Ho at the end.
I think I really like. There's Tom Waits in
that
scene.
Was cool.
It wasn't great music, but it was really. It fit the tone of the show. That like they started off with Something Bad's About to Happen, which is kind of a good country song, and they went into shitty country songs, and then they did the shitty ending. I hate that song at the ending,
right?
Your song,
but you know what? It did fit because it was a shitty ending with shitty dialogue, and they played shitty music over the top of it.
That's why it worked for me because it seemed intentionally awful.
Yeah,
I forgave them for it, and that's another one of the things where I've kind of went back and forth on this. I feel like a politician. I felt this way, now I feel this way.
No, you're right. That music definitely fit the ending, but I totally hated the ending.
And then I've also heard people shit on the names of the agents. The obvious one is Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was awesome because I thought it was a reference to the very first episode, the first scene when Mulder and Scully meet, and Scully, Mulder, I think Mulder tells Scully about her research, or they're talking about the research of the Einstein twin paradox.
Nice.
So that's immediately what I thought was
it's a good
Chris
callback.
Carter.
Well, and then also it's really good writing shorthand. If you name a character Einstein, everybody assumes that character is smart. It saves you so much time. And then Miller, Agent Miller, just because it's so similar to Mulder.
Yeah,
funny.
I really like the names. And then also there was a line in this episode that I got like gay boy goosey bumps about. And it was a throwaway scene when the new agents call down to the office, and then Scully says, "Nothing down here but us FBI's least wanted," which is the first line from Mulder in the very first episode of X-Files.
She's like, "I've been waiting 23 years to say that."
I thought that was awesome.
Which brings me to the biggest win for this episode is the biggest win for this whole season is Anderson and Duchovny, Mulder and Scully together. It's so good. They are so like whatever personal problems they've had in the past, maybe they've worked that into their fictional relation. It feels so natural, so easy. Even if they're doing shit dialogue, like at the end, I love their chemistry together. It's awesome.
I thought, to me, it's one of Chris Carter's strong points, is his cock teasing the relationship, and he's doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the episode, you expect possibly the kiss, but you don't get it.
Yeah,
and it's such a stupid thing. Like, just give the kiss, but he's always done that. He makes you want it. And again, now I didn't think I'd care about that angle of the show, but now I kind of want to see them get back together and show some affection towards each other.
Yeah.
But, they didn't. And that also references this show. It, to me, brought so many thoughts in my mind of different shows. I thought of Fringe with the trying to communicate with a dead person.
Right.
Also, I thought Fringe with the doing drugs.
Right. That's a Walter idea. I'll take these mushrooms and then I can talk to him. Yeah.
I mean, and then the horns at the end made me think of that half-baked Kevin Smith movie.
Sure.
Red State.
Red State.
Which, in that movie, they reference that, but there's no payoff, and they leave it open-ended. And this whole episode had a lot of talk about God, and because Mulder's always kind of had he didn't believe in God, But Scully, despite being a scientist,
she was a religious skeptic.
Yes.
And he was only skeptical of religion.
Yes. Where I'm an atheist, but I believe in aliens.
Right.
So this whole episode was heavy with that, and then the whole beginning, and this is the part where I might be reading more into it, but the terrorists bombed that museum for offensive artwork, which, that has a religious tie right there. And then there's the whole, they use a term in the episode, I forget, but kind of like the power of thought.
Right.
And then, of course, with religion, how the religion and the belief can get somebody to take their life or take other people's lives. And then you have Mulder, who trips on nothing, a placebo. So it's just the power of his own thoughts. And he's able to get that information from the mom through that whole sequence. And and then the God trumpets, kind of that whole theory in that episode, doesn't make any sense to me. I can't connect dots, but I feel like if I was smarter, there might have been something brilliant there in that episode that I didn't understand. Or maybe not.
Everything you say is right. Those were all like cool elements in it. I think it was just about a theme, though. I don't think that you're missing anything deeper than what you just commented on. Quite frankly, it was just Carter obviously had religion on his mind throughout the whole episode. So yeah, it was definitely very different, which is good, and it was an easy watch.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is, like, we're gonna rate this episode soon, and we're gonna come up with a number out of 10, and that number is the most difficult thing I ever have to decide, because I enjoy the shit out of this episode, but I know it's not an amazing episode.
Yeah.
So I'm conflicted. Like,
I enjoyed it, but I kind of hated it.
Yeah, it's a really weird.
Speaking of kind of hating things, I absolutely loved during the achy breaky sequence that we got to see the lone gunman.
Of course.
If that's all the fucking lone gunman we get for the season, I'm gonna be so heated.
That's it. His Comic-Con speech, he had referenced a vague showing of them, and that scene is 100% how he described they would be in the series. So I think that's all we get. Although to see them there and to see Skinner all cowboyed up, and then the Cancer Man, it
was fun. It was fun stuff.
Just like the callback to the pilot episode. There's a lot of things in this episode that I really liked nostalgia-wise.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why I can't have any hate.
Right.
Because it had a good balance of different things.
You know what? It was written and directed by Chris Carter, who's also doing next week's. He's playing in his own sandbox, and he can do whatever he wants. It all felt so easy, like he was doing what he wanted. It definitely wasn't great, but I can't hate on the guy for playing with his own toys. Yep.
Well, I mean, and I had mentioned this show earlier, not to bleed podcast here, but hey, if you guys want to hear more, let us know. Ash vs. Evil Dead, you got Sam Raimi, who I love. He reinvented his own material, and it's working fucking fantastically. Now, Chris Carter is attempting the same. Now, is he going to be able to pull it off like Raimi, or is he going to George Lucas's own franchise?
If they move ahead with another season, like, what I would like to see is that Chris Carter stays as executive producer.
Back off directing and writing.
They give him an episode or two every season to do whatever he wants, and then somebody else runs the show and gives us the sort of
he needs a J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Like what Abrams has done for Star Trek and Star Wars.
Some sort of dynamic showrunner.
Sure.
Because
anybody got James Wan's number?
That'd be good. That'd be a great fit.
Fuck yeah.
Be a much darker show with a lot more severed limbs, but that's okay.
Isn't that Mike's buddy? Hey, Mike, get on the phone.
Yeah. Get on your call up Juan for us. But yeah, moving ahead to another season, I'd like to see somebody else creatively in charge. But I would still definitely love to see a couple of Chris Carter episodes every season. Because, like I said, this was like a super easy hour of television for me to watch. So,
yeah. It was an enjoyable, questionable episode.
Yeah, and getting back to what I said at first, the straw that broke the camel's back, it was great, it was entertaining, but it was something else. This whole season hasn't really given me that X-Files feeling, Like maybe it's like you said, he's shopping it around. It's more of a sampler of all the different facets of the X-Files. But it's definitely, I think this episode proved to me that it's not the show we remember. Doesn't mean that it can't be good. I don't think it's the show, it's the X-Files that we remember, and it never will be.
Yeah, and there's something, and I've had, a lot of people have made this point that the series seems completely out of order, and I've read that certain episodes are being aired out of order for whatever reason. So the tone of the whole series is off to me. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but next week's episode, I would imagine it is going to go more towards the traditional...
Hey, it's called My Struggle 2. It's basically going to be a direct follow-up to the season premiere. And then we've had, 4 episodes that they could have juggled and shown in any order in between them.
I kind of feel... I understand that they had to introduce the show to new watchers with the My Struggle first one. They should have obviously had 1 and 2 back to back. Yeah. So I understand why. I think that hurts the show a little bit. But with the episodes being so wow, this doesn't seem right, I kind of like their just who gives a fuck attitude. I kind of want more of that. Yeah. I like the less X-Files-y X-Files episodes.
Right. Well, I was discussing with somebody online the other day that his least favorite episodes of the X-Files are the alien conspiracy stuff, and
for sure,
and
I agree with that.
Yeah, but I still, it's the main thrust of the show. What this season is missing for me is it doesn't need to be alien conspiracy stuff. Is what with the mismatched episodes throughout the middle. I don't know. I miss there being an ongoing story that I'm following, no matter what that ongoing story is.
Well, something that this episode subtly touched on, and I'm so all over the place with this episode. They do inject a bit of the conspiracy feel with the agents that were there to watch the terrorists. It was very ominous.
Oh,
I thought that was going to be the alien conspiracy angle with those agents.
The 2 Homeland Security agents that for that one second spoke Arabic to each other. Did you catch that?
I did.
It was never referenced again, so I thought by the end of the episode that I had messed up.
Again, when I say I'm all over the place with this episode, I just recalled that scene.
Right.
And exactly that exchange. And I assumed everybody heard them speak in that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a dialect guy, so I don't know if it was Arabic or just a alien speak. So I definitely found that interesting.
But not really touched on again.
No.
So they could... Who knows? Chris Carter wrote and directed this one. He's doing next week's. He could, this could be some sort of... He could sneak and make it, a direct follow-up to this episode and the first episode and tie everything in together.
Yeah, and maybe even tie in the Middle Eastern terrorist angle. Perhaps that's something that'll be explained better in the...
just off the top of my head right now, if they wanted to give it that X-Files twist, then, there's this Islamic conspiracy fighting against the aliens, and the conspiracy has twisted the media into making us think that the Muslims are attacking America, and they're not. They're attacking the conspiracy.
And something I thought of immediately when I heard they blew up an art gallery is the Trash Man related to this?
Oh, yeah, that hadn't occurred to me.
I'm sure it's not, but just with the recent episodes and the Trash Man being in paintings.
You look for connections to draw.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm probably trying to make more out of it than there is, but, I want to believe.
Right. Indeed, and that's the problem with you saying that the episode's being shown out of order, and it doesn't really matter with a lot of these episodes. But it does kind of matter. That's what I miss, is looking for clues, looking for connections to draw.
Sure.
And if I know that the episodes are being shown out of order, then you kind of know not to look for that stuff as much.
Exactly, yeah. And we want to speculate. Like, that's the fun of fans talking about this shit. And
right.
this little mini-series is kind of tough on that. So I really look forward to if they do a season and we can get back to that part of the show.
They get back into it for real. So, and I guess from what I've heard, the numbers are really good enough to warrant a comeback.
Another reason why I think the doppelganger angle is smart, because if either Anderson or Duchovny either want too much money or just decide not to do the project, I enjoyed the youngsters in this episode.
You know, it's smart. It's a smart, pragmatic move. If you bring them back for, assuming the full season is going to be like 13 or 16 episodes, the X-Files, they're going to need a team. Not only are we going to need to see more Skinner, but they're going to need to have some sort of computer expert or somebody. They're going to need a team of people, CSI style, working for X-Files, headed by Mulder and Scully. And this gives them a couple of members of a team.
And again, Skinner is awesome in the little time they gave him in this episode.
Teeny tiny.
In a scene and a half. Fucking give that guy some more scenes.
Yeah. He's so good. He has such power to him. He looks awesome, honestly. Compared to, he was skinnier and, I don't know, he didn't have a beard back in the day, and now he just looks badass. I want more Skinner. And he was he was giving Mulder shit, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, he was sarcastic. Like, just the evolution of characters in this series between Scully and Skinner, I appreciate. And that's why I liked Ambrose, because she was like the starting point of Scully.
Yeah.
And now you have current Scully, and you see how far that character's developed and really changed. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. So
is Ambrose and Amel going to be on next week's episode? I think I saw Ambrose's face.
I don't know. I don't know. I thought this was going to be a one and done for now, but we'll see.
And we got what's his name? It's coming back next week.
Cancer Man will be coming back next week.
Talk Soup guy.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Joel McHale.
Joel McHale and Sveta, I believe, are both going to be in that episode.
So when we reviewed the premiere episode, we had a bunch of questions and we speculated on a bunch of things. I'm going to need to go back and listen to that because it's been like 4 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And finally they're going to get back to all those plot threads that they set up and then haven't, other than William, the son of Scully and Mulder, which they haven't touched on anything.
And now because of that stupid fucking episode that I hated with the mom dying, which, fuck her, I think everyone is William. Like, if I wasn't sure of the Miller character. I'm like, is the Miller character William?
Mm-hmm.
Now I know I'm reaching, but I just, every fucking chance I get, I wonder if somebody's William. I got a pizza delivered the other day. I asked the dude if his name was William. Fucking strange.
It's been like William would be like in his mid-teens now, but because of that whole alien DNA hybrid thing that they've brought into play,
true,
he could be like a man in his 20s because alien DNA.
Well, what about the twin paradox? Maybe there was, he ages differently depending on what your experiences are.
It would take one sentence of explanation. He could be an old man, and it would just take one sentence. Oh yeah, well, it's because whatever. X-Files explanation. Boilerplate.
All right. What's your favorite scene from this episode, if you have one?
It was Mulder's trip out. The line dancing, the country, the lone gunman. It was also my least favorite scene. I also hated it, but I popped for it.
Fits perfectly for the episode.
It was great, and Duchovny committed. Like, it wasn't like David Duchovny going out there and having a great time line dancing. It felt like Mulder line dancing. He was into it. It was a little uncomfortable, but I don't know. It was just...
did he know line dancing, or did he learn it just for that scene? He was killing it.
Yeah, it was great. So, it makes me laugh just thinking about it.
And then you got 50 Shades of Ambrose with that outfit she was wearing.
That was a nice little scene too.
A little nicer than Fox in the Speedo.
If she does come back, Fox is gonna reference that.
Oh, I hope so. That was nice.
You'll never forget that.
My favorite scene was the intro of the doppelgangers and all the references to the pilot episode.
Yeah.
That kind of got me that made me not have negative feelings towards Miller and Einstein and all the little things that people have hated.
Yeah.
So, all right. What do you rate it out of 10?
I am going to I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10.
Oh.
And I'm going that high because it's so much fun to watch. I could see sitting down with somebody that isn't an X-Files fan and watching that episode with them, and we would have fun watching it. It's not great. And I think I'm rating it purely on just like my enjoyment factor of it is giving it a higher grade. I still think it's not good in the overall context. It's like the Mulder and Scully meet the Were monster a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
I'm just viewing it just solely as that hour of television. That's the only way I can really enjoy it. Because it does like make me think, oh man, this revival season is kind of, they don't know what they're doing. But it was fun, so.
Yeah, this was the second most enjoyable episode for me to watch. The Were Monster obviously was easily my favorite. I felt this set up a lot of things they can do, a lot of directions they can go with the future of the franchise, and for that reason, I give it a 7.
All right.
Just like you, this could easily have been a 4 for me.
Yeah,
but it hit nostalgia for me. The horrible music score I loved. The characters, the scenarios, and again the thought building the possibility for future branding I think is very smart, and that's what I believe this little 6-episode thing is designed for. And being a huge fan, I think this episode worked.
No, that's interesting. The whole season is like a weather balloon. They're just testing the winds.
Yeah.
To see which direction they should push it. No, that's interesting. I've heard tons of hate on this episode, and I was I was ready. I'm surprised in my head, like all the way I was thinking about it on the way over here. I was going to give it a lower score, but then we're talking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck all the geek shit for a second and just look at it like an hour of television. It entertained the shit out of me. So, what else is really important? Oh, well, I think, and it didn't matter. Just setting all the geek shit aside, it was just fun. And it's good to get an hour of fun television. So,
And this episode hit a lot of, and this is mainly probably because I love Dick so much, but hit a lot of emotional parts for me. Where the Mother episode seemed force-fed.
It did.
This one, even though some things were ham-handed, I enjoyed this one better. It made me care more about Mulder and Scully and their relationship. It made me think good things about Miller and Einstein. When Einstein and Miller are talking about Scully and Mulder, and he's like, I don't get it, they're so different. How can they work together for all this time? And she goes, it's obvious. Scully loves him. And I'm just like, oh, that's sweet.
And maybe for better or worse, maybe that's just because Chris Carter doing this loved what he was doing. And he was having fun writing it. He was having fun making it. It just, that came across, that enjoyment. I don't know. Felt like it. Where as opposed to the Trash Man episode, it was like, all right, everybody be quiet. We're serious now. Be serious. Care about what's... And you were like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
This, they weren't trying to force anything. They were having a good time, and so I had a good time.
You had made the reference that you felt like perhaps X-Files should be repackaged as a half-hour sci-fi comedy show.
This would perfectly fit in with that.
I would watch every week.
And I wouldn't have had that thought without Ash vs. Evil Dead, which keeps its horror roots, but Evil Dead has always been half comedy anyway.
Sure.
So they just repackaged Evil Dead into like a half-hour comedy, and it's pretty funny and pretty gross, and why can't you do that with X-Files? And And I only thought that because this season, what has worked best is the comedy.
This episode has really got us thinking and talking. So one of the things that especially Nate has been very good at is the geeky part of the episodes. The nurse character in this episode, the real hateful, kind of right-wing conservative, which I've heard people say that they didn't like the politic angle in this episode. It really was just this character. But this character, that was Margot Kidder's niece.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't remember her first name, but yeah, that is the best Lois Lane's niece in this episode. So, and she did a good job. So I just thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah, and it was good they had that in there because to me, the show itself, and I've so much Twitter backlash on this shit because everybody's so sensitive. I didn't feel the show had a political agenda. It wasn't anti-Muslim. There were dick Muslims in it. There were good Muslims in it. There were asshole Americans in it. There were good Americans in it.
Absolutely.
You know?
And first of all, kudos to Chris Carter for being not giving a fuck about doing a very, very divisive angle on that.
The bad guys were actually Muslim suicide bombers. Yeah. There was no twist.
As much as I love the twist, I kind of was like, all right, no twist, straightforward. That's fucking badass.
It surprised me.
Yeah. I kind of dug that, just not because I'm pro, Muslim extremists are killers, but I just kind of like the balls. Like, yeah, this shit happens. And by the way, don't eat peanut butter sandwiches. I think that's the moral of the episode.
Yeah.
But no, I like that angle. And he makes it sympathetic because they're not monsters. Again, with that whole belief system, it was the kind of the cornerstone of the episode. They believed in their God, and their God was being insulted through artwork, and they felt that they were just defending their religion.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they were true monsters. I mean,
the one dude that got blown up who was in the bed the whole episode, the concave decrease like in his head was gross. Like that special effect.
That was awesome.
I just old lumpy. I think of him as, but you could have eaten a bowl of cereal out of the divot out of his head. It was, I don't know.
Yeah. I wanted to put M&M's in it and eat it.
Yeah, a candy dish.
He kind of looked like the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah. Okay. We could probably go on for another half hour. This is just a fun episode to think about and to talk about. You know what? It might actually have been more fun to talk about than it was to watch. But yeah, it was fun. I don't know how like passive, like people that are new to X-Files would like this one. I know that from what I've heard from some of my friends that are old school X-Files fans, they totally hated it. And I
see it. I could see it. Yeah. This episode is like, if we do this review tomorrow, I might go 4 out of 10.
Yeah,
that's how this episode sits with me. So
this is the most important podcast ever in getting viewer response, because what did you guys think? I mean, our review was kind of all over the map because we wanted to touch on so many different things, but you're sitting there listening to this and you may be bubbling with rage because we missed some huge point. Well, let us know what the point is.
Yeah, and I mean, you can insult us because I know I'm an asshole. Nate's a Trump supporter, so let's have it.
You keep saying, what's the origin of me being a Trump supporter? Just a random thing?
I mean, guys, listen to old podcasts. His hate and racism is strong. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I do encourage you to listen to the old podcasts for whatever motivation you may have.
The truth is out there, guys.
Yeah, come back next week for the finale. Send us your theories. All I know is going to happen next week is we will see William. He will come back at some. He's got to, right? After harping on that shit for 5 episodes.
William Bell's coming back?
Prop him up. Put him on a dolly. Wheel him out. I'd love that.
All right, guys. Again, I am Clever Lang on Twitter.
And I'm at NateFlix, Twitter, and Facebook, and a couple of other social media things that I forgot the passwords to.
And at Grungin like 1991, send him dick pics, please.
Lots of dick pics. The blacker, the better.
Of course.
think that's good. That wraps it up.
Fuck you guys later.